If they actually, by some ungodly miracle, decide, hey, I know you guys, we just sped through all of the G series, but now we're going to go ahead and give you the freaking Vanguard V reboot in Vanguard Zero, and hope to God that it doesn't break the bloody game. I don't see that realistically happening at this point. Well, hate it when I'm right. Hey there guys, Noah here, and welcome back to another Vanguard discussion video. Today, I want to quickly go over my thoughts on the recent announcement for the end of service for Vanguard Zero. I think a lot of people saw this coming, including myself, and honestly, it doesn't surprise me. I kind of had a feeling the moment that they stopped supporting Tachikaze, among many other decks in the game, and you know, it's kind of a shame. And I kind of want to just talk about my thoughts on the game after everything is all said and done, and kind of go from there. So let's just get into it. So Vanguard Zero as a game fundamentally was broken the moment they got into G. I think a lot of people knew this going in, and you know, the signs were there. They were obviously there. From the really crap pull rates, you know, with how GRs worked, and without any major player like login bonus or whatnot to help circumvent it for a little while, it became very pay to win, and it still became pay to win even more so somehow through GNext and GZ, which just, honestly, that was an absolute train wreck. And it's sad to admit that I kind of saw that coming too, given how Game Studio was currently operating the game at that point. And to me, and I think a lot of other people, we kind of all saw the writing on the wall at that point. It's honestly a shame, because you saw the level of attention of detail that they did for the original series. You know, the characters actually like moving on their own accord and whatnot. You know, everything was like somewhat animated, and you know, I feel like what they did attempt to add here and there outside of the ranked fights were actually very good back then. And then we get to G, where I feel like they attempted a lot, but they really didn't put any sort of effort into it, and it's honestly a fucking shame, because I feel like they honestly could have done a lot more than what they actually did. Now, I know this sounds very doom and gloom for, you know, and honestly at this point it is, but I do want to bring up one major point that I think a lot of people kind of tend to forget when it comes to Vanguard Zero overall, and that's the fact that Vanguard Zero as a game fundamentally came out at probably the best time for the game in general. It happened right at the beginning of the pandemic, where a lot of people, myself not necessarily included because I did have someone to actually play, but for the most part, there was a lot of people who couldn't actually sit down and play the game IRL. Either because they didn't know anybody close, you know, who actually played the game, or a myriad of different circumstances at that point, to where Vanguard Zero was one of the only ways to play Cardfight Vanguard in that given that current state of the world and everything. And I remember way back when the game first launched in global, a lot of content creators actually coming out with, you know, their own content for the game. One of the bigger names being Shady Penguin, who initially started playing, but then after realizing that VP farming was an absolute nightmare, kind of said, nope, I'm out, bye. And honestly, like, even though it was brief, that kind of level of publicity was actually huge for the game. And it's sad to say that I don't think that Vanguard will attempt something like this ever again. I know that seems very odd, but if they do it, they probably won't do it for like another 10 years, assuming that the game even lasts that long in the first place. But, you know, that's just from what I can tell. I think Vanguard definitely came out at a good time regardless, and that kind of helped it last and, you know, keep interest in the game overall for an extremely long time. Through the beginning of Overdress, through a lot of stuff going on with both formats at the time, and then eventually the third format after the fact. You know, Vanguard Zero to a lot of people was their primary way to play Vanguard. And unfortunately, that's really the shame of it at the end of the day, is that for a lot of people who only got into Vanguard because of Vanguard Zero, and now suddenly they find themselves without any way to play the game in general, you know, this kind of, unfortunately, kind of gravitates them to playing a game like Deer Days, where there's a huge-ass price tag, where the main selling point of Vanguard to them was, oh, I don't have to really put any money to it unless I absolutely want to. Now, all of a sudden, we get to a point where now people are kind of forced to either quit the game outright, you know, well, not Vanguard Zero because the game is dying. It's already dead, but you get the point. They're forced to sit there and invest in the actual card game, which they don't know how they're going to feel about it, go into Deer Days, or God forbid if they have to take a risk with possibly getting a virus on the computer by downloading Cardfight Area. I know that's like extremely harsh, but honestly, you know, it honestly wouldn't surprise me at this point if at least 1 or 2 people got a virus from downloading the damn thing. But outside of that, I think that's the biggest crime in all this, is that when you look at other TCGs currently in the market, such as Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, even Magic the Gathering, they all have some sort of online client, and now Vanguard doesn't really have that anymore. And honestly, that's a fucking shame, because I feel like if this was under better development by any other company than Game Studio, Fuyu not standing, because I've already covered why they're an awful company as well, I feel like Vanguard Zero could have definitely been a lot more than it actually was, and it definitely could have been, you know, given the proper attention that it actually needed, given the serious balance patches that would have helped out the game's longevity in the long run. And who knows, maybe people would have been more positive about, you know, the idea and prospect of going into the V series with the game, but that was not the case, and unfortunately that's just, you know, the sad truth of it. You know, that's just the harsh reality of mobile gacha games. And honestly, eventually down the line, other games like Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links and other games and the like will eventually crash and burn as well. So this to me doesn't really surprise me that much. I just, you know, it's honestly just a shame. Honestly, I expected it at least to last a little bit longer, but what could I say? I think at this point, a lot of people are just willing to move on, and that's you know, that's as much as you can realistically ask at this point. But I am curious at least about your guys' thoughts on it, because I made a couple posts on Twitter and obviously on this channel as well that I'm at best indifferent to it. I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I was very doom and gloom throughout the entirety of the G era, because I just did not like how pay to win the game was. Enough to a point where it made me grateful that I never actually put any sort of money into the goddamn game. But at the same time, this was not a bad first attempt at a, you know, mobile gacha game for Vanguard. I definitely think that it helped push Vanguard into the limelight in a time where people couldn't have easy access to a card shop or locals or anything like that. And even beyond that, the community was still going strong for a very long time, even despite all the negativity and all the bad stuff that came out of G. I think a lot of people would mutually agree that Vanguard Zero was a good game for a while, but it just kind of fell flat after a certain point, and it kind of just snowballed into, well, end of service during the 30-year anniversary for Global. Like, you don't get much more messed up than that at that point. It's like, oh, we're going to celebrate the 3rd anniversary by announcing the end of service. Lovely. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. This was just a quick video because I haven't actually been able to upload in an extremely long time because of IRL circumstances, but hopefully I can get back into it. I am working on the book review that has been well overdue at this point, but I kind of have to go back and reread it because, well, truth be told, like, it's not that I don't want to actually make the review, don't get me wrong, I really do. It's just I honestly probably want to double check that I'm actually, like, all the points I'm making is actually accurate before I actually commit to the review, because honestly, I actually want to give it all the attention that it probably deserves, given all of the, you know, hype that was initially surrounding it and a lot of the controversy that was also surrounding it. I guess that's the best way to put it. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section about Vanguard Zero. Did you enjoy it? And did you wish that it would have lasted a bit longer? I personally am kind of just glad that it's over, so that way, you know, they don't try to continue to beat around the bush and keep trying to take more money out of the player base, you know, more than they already did. But yeah, that's Vanguard Zero in a nutshell. Until next time, this is Noah, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.